Good morning. It is 6:15 a.m. on Wednesday, April 26th, 2017. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, you may be able to hear my voice is not completely recovered. I'm still got just this happening. That's annoying. But I've got to be kind of in a hurry this morning because I've got just, work stuff to do. So last night I made my very first meal from Blue Apron, something that I had certainly heard all about through ads on podcasts that I listen to. So in that sense, you could definitely say that their marketing works, although it didn't work quickly because I've been hearing about Blue Apron on the ads for a while. Only just tried it, but I did try it. Got my first shipment yesterday. Luna is barking into her kibble bowl for some reason. Like while she eats, like in between gulps. She also heard something or smelled something while we were on the elevator, and so she, I think, is very suspicious now that there's an enemy of the state about, and she's not sure where. Anyway, so the very first thing that I noticed was that it seems to have a lot of packaging, and that was briefly concerning at first, but then I noticed a little note that mentioned if you go to blueapron.com/recycle, they talk all about basically how you can recycle all of the stuff that they send. So that seems helpful. I was glad to see that, because otherwise I was kind of starting to feel like I'm going to get this much packaging every week. But, if it all just kind of recycles out, then. So, okay, yeah, I'm a little tired. Please excuse me, this review. Maybe if I wanted really coherent and polished presentation, I wouldn't do this first thing in the morning. Alright, so the box that you get once a week contains the makings of 3 meals with 2 servings each. So the first meal of the 3 that I decided on was seared cod with crème fraîche. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it has the 2 little accent hat mark thingies, so you have to say it with some sort of an attitude. It seems, unless I misunderstood something, like the shallot was missing for that recipe, because it definitely called for some shallot, but one of the other recipes also calls for a shallot, and in the whole box I only got 1 shallot. So question is whether or not that shallot was intended to serve both recipes, which is how I'm using it, or whether there is really supposed to be, 2 shallots, because the amount of shallot that I needed for this recipe was a very small amount. You wouldn't need a whole shallot for that. But the other one, as far as I can tell, does call for the whole shallot. So I only needed to use maybe a fifth of the one that for the recipe last night, but it just still struck me as if the intent was that there were supposed to be 2 shallots, I only got 1 shallot. Just the same. The only other modification I made to the recipe excuse me, was that the cabbage and potato hash side dish was supposed to use these fancy green olives, and I'm not a fan of olives, so I just left them out. The preparation required me to provide, knives and such. They don't send dishes and so on, and kitchen implements. Instead, it's just the food, and I did need to provide my own olive oil and salt and pepper and so on. but they sent everything else, all the little bits and bobs, and there's a pink lemon and um, green cabbage and a potato and cod fillets and rice flour and all that stuff. And so follow the recipe, and I feel like the recipes are definitely clearly written and are easy to follow, assuming that you know basic cooking techniques already. I think there are a few things that could potentially be confusing if you're really starting 100% from scratch, but there's skills that I think most people should ideally have anyway. Just when it says, for example, to medium dice a potato, you know, how big chunks does that mean? But yeah, so the food was good. I was a little bit worried because it's saying 2 servings, and because I'm making it just for myself, my tendency a lot of the time is portion control can be difficult. So the plan was, as I made it, I had a Tupperware prepared, and so as soon as it was ready, I just put half of it just right in there and put that in the refrigerator. And then so the remainder, the half that I ate last night, was definitely satisfying, and it was tasty, and it was definitely not the sort of thing that I would have gotten out of like a lean cuisine or something like that. So far so good. We'll see if I have the motivation to actually prepare a meal like this for myself 3 times a week. But at least the first one I liked, so on we go. And now I've got to continue getting ready for work because I got stuff to do. So I will talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.